everybody, and welcome back to the Geek Authority Show. And this time we're taking you behind the scenes. We've got some incredibly wonderful people here. They do cosplay. They do all kinds of fun stuff. And as you can see in my background here, we actually got to talk to a couple of them in their characters. I'm calling it the Ladies of Doctor Who, and I appreciate all of you coming here. Christina, Myriam, Veronica, and River. This has been a wonderful experience. So let's start this off. And I need to know, when did you first discover, find, or be introduced to Doctor Who, from your first exposure to it? Let's start with Christina.
I was actually pregnant and throwing up all the time. And I found it on Netflix, and that was the first time I'd seen it. And I watched all of it and caught up. And then, of course, I've kept watching it since then, but that was something that got me through being in bed for a long time.
Okay, what time was this? Was this like 10 years ago?
This was, I want to say that it was before Matt Smith. So I watched the 4 seasons. So it was around the time where, Tennant was turning into Smith. Okay,
and they always say your first Doctor is your favorite. Is that what happened for you?
It's funny because when I started with 9, as you should, and I went into 10, and I was like, who's this guy? He's just sleeping. It's so boring. Ugh. And then, of course, I really do feel like 10 became my favorite Doctor, but I did start with 9.
Okay. And the classics, have you seen what they're calling the classic Doctors? Have you seen any of them? Oh.
No, don't hit me.
Okay. River, when did you first get introduced?
Tom Baker on PBS. So it must have been like 1968 or 69. Was on UHF. That should say a lot.
Okay.
Ultra high frequency before 4 million channels.
So who was your first Doctor?
Tom Baker.
Okay. So did I hear you right? You said 68, 69?
Yeah.
But Tom was in the late 70s, early 80s.
He was the 4th. Yeah, but this was, and then maybe the date's wrong, but this is when they started putting him on PBS.
Okay. Because just give you a little background, I caught in the late 70s, early 80s. My first Doctor was Peter Davison. And I watched ever since then, and then went back and watched the originals prior to that. Because like she said, PBS was the only station carrying it. And it was not as regular as I would have liked it to be. But Peter Davison was my first Doctor, and it's always been of the classics. And of course, I have my favorites of the new series. But all right, excuse me, Myriam. When were you introduced?
I was introduced in the 80s, 90s, and actually Tom Baker was the first Doctor I saw. It was one of the reruns, and my mom was actually watching it on PBS, and I'm like, "What are you watching?" And I got introduced to it, and then got reintroduced to the new series by my youngest son, who's like, "I'm watching this show. You probably don't know what it is. It's called Doctor Who."
And you told him your version.
I was like, "Oh, this show's older than you, dude."
Wow, that's kind of cool. So,
and then it's a thing that we did.
So your mom was a big fan too?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, she's a big fan.
Wow, very cool. Okay, Veronica, when did you get introduced?
Sometime after I met my husband. We met in 2009, and the first thing we realized we had in common was Star Wars. The second thing, Star Trek. And then he's like, I think you need to check out Doctor Who. And I'm like, why does that sound familiar? And he's like, because it's been on since like the 60s. And I'm like, oh. And he's like, and they just revamped it. I said, okay, great. So my first introduction was 9. And then we just went in order, all of modern. And then I saw a few of original Who when the movie, I forget what it's called, but the TV movie came out that introduced Verity Lambert.
Oh, adventure in space and time.
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Because my friend was like, I have an obscure cosplay for you. You're not going to know who she is, but watch this movie and then you'll see. And I said, okay. So I watched the movie, fell in love with Verity Lambert, and I've been cosplaying Verity Lambert ever since. And so that got me into the first Doctor. And then I met my friend Andrew, who cosplays the fourth. So I had to watch some of the fourth. And then I met my friend Chad, who likes the sixth. And I kind of been picking and choosing like old Doctors.
So you cosplay more than one character in Doctor?
I do, yes. Yeah, okay. Verity's really fun because I get to go around conventions saying, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome.
Very cool, very cool. Okay, so let's talk about the Doctor himself. So obviously we're introduced to this series, you're watching the shows. I'm hoping the stories engaged you and so on and so forth. But what do you find yourself attracted to when watching Doctor Who? Myriam?
I love the stories, the complexity of them, the historical nature of them, the different levels that. So I have children, right? So I love that the kids are engaged and we've, actually had conversations about dark matter and black holes and solar systems and conversations that we would have never, ever had otherwise. So it's just opened up a huge realm of different worlds for us.
That's very cool. How old are your kids, if you don't mind me asking?
my kids now are 17 and 21, but they started watching years ago. So 2005, wow. They were really young. So 2005, I think my youngest started watching when he was 9. Okay.
Very cool. And that you're having conversations. That's what it's all about. You know, if it makes you think and think beyond the show, it's like, and you've got a mom that's open to it. That's awesome. Yeah. My mom couldn't get into it, didn't get it. So it's like, okay, River, how about you? What attracts you to the series?
Let's say up through the 12th Doctor, it would be the writing.
Okay, commentary there.
Oh, you wanted to know what attracts me to the series. I find it very hard to remember any of the current episodes and series. I mean, if I see 5 seconds of it, I say, oh yeah, I remember this now, but it does not hold my interest currently. Before, I thought it had a great deal of brilliant writing and ways of making metaphors of things happening on other planets and basing that on what things were doing on this planet. I mean, when they did the Zygon inversion, it was about refugees. And, but it doesn't hit you over the head going, this is a story about refugees. It just, these are these Zygons and they're being misplaced and what's going on. And then Peter Capaldi has this brilliant speech. And, that's what makes it work for me. That kind of touching and reaching out and doing things with that format that you can't do in a standard drama.
Wow, very cool. Christina, what draws you into the show?
The idea that just a regular person could be swept off into adventure. I love all the companions. I know everybody has a favorite Doctor, but I love all the companions just because that's us. We get to go and be brave and be heroic and save the world because yeah.
Very cool. Veronica.
I think I like how, especially when you're watching it for the first time, you never know where you're going to go next. You never know where you're going to go next. You never know who you're going to meet next. There's always that element of surprise. And even after you've gone through the entire show, you still want to go back because it just has that staying power. It's a different kind of magic. And yes, I think it does have to do with the writing, like River said. But you can always find something that calls to you. And that's very hard to do in science fiction.
Very cool. I gotta throw this out here because River kind of touched on it a little bit. What is all of your reactions to the Doctor through, almost 6 decades being male, and then doing the? We've seen a couple episodes where other Time Lords have changed into females, but how do you? Number one, how do you feel about the change, the gender change, and how do you feel about our current Doctor? Let's start with Veronica again.
I was excited when they announced that the Doctor was going to become female because, one of my favorite characters obviously is Missy. So to see how that gender plays out in the Doctor really intrigued me. Unfortunately, she was terribly written. So I have the same problem that River does. Like, she's not memorable. Like, it's not like I go, oh, I remember when the Doctor did this. Oh, I remember when the Doctor did this. I don't have those moments anymore. And it's really sad for me as a fan. I think she had so much potential and it was just thrown away.
And it's a shame because I think Jodie Whittaker is a great actress. Like, if you go back and watch, just like Broadchurch, for example, she really stands out. Like, it's not her. Like, she had potential. And when she's doing stuff, it's great. But if you don't have the writing behind it, then yeah, it's not memorable. And I'll be honest, I have not finished the recent seasons because and it's disappointing because I've loved the other seasons. So yeah, it's just the writing isn't there.
Myriam?
I agree. I felt that, looking at having Jodie come in, I was very excited because she's a brilliant actress, and I loved her in Broadchurch, but episode 1 of her first season, I felt it fell flat, and the story was kind of no peaks, no valleys, and or maybe they were just, little hills and trenches. And there's nothing to grab me and have me keep my attention to see the next episode, and the continuity of a storyline, it just felt like there was a lot of strings just left hanging with nothing to be promised to the fans.
Okay, River, do you want to add anything to that?
I thought it was a great idea. I mean, I'd seen Missy, obviously, had become absolutely marvelous, seamless. That was still the Master. It was just a woman. And when we got to the Doctor, it's like they said, oh, well, now we have to write this like she's a girl. Don't write the Doctor, write a girl playing the Doctor. And her direction, I think, has been wrong. And I think as an actress, she deserved better than that. Mm-hmm. And I just think that, and then some of the plot lines just fell flat. And Mr. Chibnall did not want to bring in any other writers that had written before for Doctor Who. So we had a whole new slate of writers that had never written, some of them never written science fiction and never written Doctor Who. So there you go.
It shows. Okay, so I'm curious. Do you have a favorite showrunner? I mean, is it Russell T Davies? Is it Stephen Moffat? Is it? Well, obviously it's not Chris. But, do you find, personally, my opinion is I loved everything Russell T Davies did. All his script touching, his show running, his choices of actors, and there was a couple stories that were, but I'd say 99% of his stuff was brilliant. Stephen Moffat kind of peaked for me, valied and peaked. So what do you think? What do you guys think?
I feel like, sorry to burst in, but I feel like Stephen Moffat was really good at season-wide arcs. To have that twist after maybe 6 or 7 episodes, the payoff, like Amy, the twist of that she wasn't even there the whole time, like that was a payoff that took a big buildup. And I don't think we have that now. And I love Russell T Davies too. Obviously, Donna is one of my favorites, and that whole season of season 4 is just impeccable. So both of those are great. Russell T Davies was really good at being episodic and then having a little arc on top of it that kind of floated on top. But Stephen Moffat kind of demanded that you were there. Like, you need to pay attention because I'm building up to something, in my opinion.
Right. Myriam?
Yep. I totally agree with Christina. I really love Stephen Moffat's writing. I love Russell T Davis's writing also. I like the fact that they brought in Murray Gold for the music, because the music is so epic and I like to listen to it when I'm driving and it gets me out of a funk or whatever. It's just like very, music speaks to people, right? Not just stories. So to have like the musical direction there is imperative, to say the least.
I can't even think of what the new season has for music. Like, I'm trying to remember. I'm like, there are no memorable themes.
I'm so glad you mentioned Murray Gold, because like you were saying, one of the things is, believe it's Matt Smith's era, that whole, there's one riff that
brilliant score.
So good.
Everybody has a theme.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell what character, if you're just listening to the music, you know whose music it is just because you know their theme.
Yeah.
Right.
Very
and
good.
And you hear their heart in that music.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's heartbreaking music too. Like, you can listen to the music alone, and you'll know that it's like, where you're supposed to cry.
Right.
Thank you, Myriam. That was a good point I didn't even think of. What do you think, Veronica? How about your favorite producer?
Well, to be honest, watching it, I didn't really pay much attention to who the producers were. I didn't. I was just more into the show. But now that you guys have mentioned the music, that's one thing that I do remember. It's why I am so enamored with John Williams, because he does that where he has themes for everybody, and he writes the music to pull you into the scene. And Murray Gold does the same thing. Like, the first time I heard Misty's theme, I was like, awesome.
Even young Amy Pond, her little theme that builds up when she gets up. It's an amazing. Okay, I'm curious now. So, do you guys have a favorite storyline or story? Because you mentioned arcs and stuff. So I was wondering, is there a particular episode or a particular storyline that was just blew your mind away? And I do want to mention, we mentioned Stephen Moffat, and I mentioned Russell T Davies being my favorite. But Stephen Moffat wrote, I believe, the most popular episode ever of Doctor Who, which of course was Blink, which is, I don't know if you've ever met anybody, but a lot of people say if you want to watch one episode, any episode of Doctor Who, everyone tells everyone to watch that episode. What do you think of Blink? Was that one of them that stands out for you? Anybody?
Okay, so
That's my favorite. But
no, not at all, right, Christina?
everyone was freaked out by it, and I think the reason why it freaks so many people out, because it's the one thing, the Weeping Angels are one thing that your brain goes, okay, I can't disprove that this isn't happening. It's the one thing that crosses over into possibly reality. Like, we all, of course, are there Weeping Angels? Can we disprove that they don't exist? Like, and there are statues everywhere. So I
mean, Lady Liberty.
Any statue.
Exactly. Yeah. So that for me was what did it. I was like, oh, I'm never going to look at statues the same way again.
yeah.
So, okay. So, I mean, it was brilliantly edited too. I mean, I remember the first time seeing it and literally like, I don't know if I want to finish this episode because this is too creepy. But okay, what about stories? Anyone got a favorite? And
I mean, obviously this is my favorite, but I cosplay as the Weeping Angel as well. But I actually downloaded Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead and just listened to it when I was driving. I've listened to it, I don't know how many times. I mean, I've watched it a bunch of times. So as much as I love Blink, I feel like that arch, there's something about it that really did it for me. Just the crackling dialogue, the introducing River Song and then losing River Song, the part with the therapist and the little girl and the moon, and like there were just so many things working at the same time. And again, that's Stephen Moffat. So, you know, just there was so much going on, and it was so heartbreaking. And like losing, what was her name? The girl.
Cal.
No, not Cal. The girl, the one that they made fun of.
Miss Evangelista.
Yes, Miss Evangelista dies, and she's still in the inside the neural uplink, and like it was just heartbreaking. And then again, like we're all naturally programmed to be afraid of the dark and shadows, and so they're to you know, like the whole thing about not blinking and like things only happen when your eyes are closed, or things only happen in the shadows. So that like they played off like having the shadows running at them with the lights coming off and the shadows spreading toward them. I love that episode. The end.
My favorite episode is the one with Vincent Van Gogh. I think that episode is the sweetest episode of Doctor Who. The whole storyline of mental illness and treating, and how it just encapsulates that into like a beautiful story, and how, you know, he makes a difference in Van Gogh's immediate life, but it doesn't change the outcome of what he's dealing with and what he's coping with. And all of that, just like the humanity that Doctor Who has gone to the lengths of that to put that into perspective, and how, you know, saying kind words go a long way, and how he brought him to, you know, current time, and to see how his work was appreciated even though it wasn't appreciated when he was alive, and that kind of thing. That oh my God, I was sobbing.
I know, and you got to give credit to like Bill Nye. He has that wonderful speech when he talks about Van Gogh, and
yes,
how, and it was like, and you could see Van Gogh just
tearing up, and like, I can't believe, and then the humanity that Metz to like goes to like, oh my God, I didn't know that this was going to happen. I'm sorry. Are you okay? You know, just to care for him, and just being kind. That, wow. Yeah, I know. Sorry. That's my favorite episode. I mean,
that's brilliant.
I don't have one. I have like, you know, several during each season, but.
Okay, River, Veronica, you want to?
Christmas special. Not Christmas special. Well, yeah, Christmas special. I love A Christmas Carol. I think it's so touching, and it's such a beautiful update, and it just works. And it works with the Doctor suddenly realizing that he never found out why Kazran Sardik was such an awful person, because he never asked Abigail why she was in the ice. And yet it made it all work, and it made it all come better, and they saved thousands of people, and created a very beautiful song.
I love Abigail.
Oh, yes.
Okay, another plug. I don't know when it'll come out, but probably later at the end of this month, there's a group of us that recorded Abigail's song, and there's a gentleman on Twitter that works with who Lockdown Who, and we will be putting probably 500 or so voices together singing Abigail's song, and I'm one of them.
Nice, very cool. Veronica, did you want to add something?
I do. My favorite episode is actually The Stolen Earth. And that's because I'm a crossover mashup person. Most of my first cosplays were mashups. But I love when you get as many characters that you love in one single storyline. And the song that they play as they're returning the Earth back to its spot still makes me weepy.
Wow. Very cool. Okay, we all know, those of us who've seen the lots of the episodes, there are several villains the Doctor has run into. Does anyone have a favorite villain? Yes, Veronica.
I know what you all think I'm going to say, but I actually put good thought into this one.
Okay.
And so I'm actually not going to say who you think I'm going to say. I'm actually going to say Miss Hartigan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because for several reasons. One, she was head of my boys, and I do love those Cybermen. Two, the woman had style. Red dress to the funeral. Come on.
It was gorgeous.
And three, like she has like the same like evil panache that Missy does, just in a different way. And I really, really liked her when I first saw her.
Very cool. Anybody else?
I've become fond of the Zygons, oddly enough.
They're the ones with the puppy, the
Yes,
sticky thing?
the gooey, ooey, yeah,
Suction cups.
yeah.
Here you go. That's it. Myriam?
It's hard to pick just one. I really like the Daleks. I think they're the awfulest creatures that have been ever thought of. And just, what they represent. They
were the first.
They were the first. I hate what they represent. I hate that I love them so much, but they are such a great villain that keeps coming back and never dies.
And you want a bit of trivia? You want a bit of trivia? But the classic doctors always used to say is, I don't know what the deal is about a Dalek. All you have to do is find a flight of stairs, and you're free.
Well, now they fly, right?
I know, until the modern. All right, Christina.
I mean, obviously, I love the Weeping Angels. I'm going to bring it back because I love it so much. But also, one that kind of gets forgotten about is the Peg dolls from Night Terrors. The ones with the big heads.
Big heads.
The big head dolls in the
Oh,
closet.
yes.
Those are I love the creepy ones. And again, they're just because the turning them into themselves, I love those guys. But the Weeping Angels, of course, have a special place in my stone cold heart.
Yeah, and I've got to give credit to, again, the Russell T Davies area. A lot of the enemies you never saw, or you saw their effects kind of situation.
Yeah.
Like, I forget the name. What's the episode, the one with the Titanic? He's like, what?
Titanic?
Right.
Is that the Titanic one?
The helper droids, whatever they were. The
with the angel
droids.
ones.
Oh,
Yeah.
the host?
Yes.
You think that's the host? You've asked
Yeah.
3 questions and now, yeah.
Yeah, it was brilliant in terms of, scaring you and whatnot. But
Right.
very cool, very cool. So we've covered the villains. How about companions? We touched a little bit. And there've been like I believe it was Christina who said there's lots of companions. Because of what you've watched, either classic or current, do you have somebody that stands out as far as companion? I mean, Christina, is it Donna?
I mean, I would have to say, if I did if someone had a gun to my head, I would definitely think Donna. But I mean, I love Clara and I love Rose, and and Amy is great, and they all have their special things. And I will say though that my husband's favorite is Martha Jones, because exactly you win, because he's she's so smart. She was actually a doctor, she knows what she's doing, and he treated her like garbage. And I was like, yeah, Martha. So no, we are Martha stans.
Yeah, and she challenged him.
Exactly.
It's like, whatever. Okay.
She literally slapped him to knock some sense into him.
Exactly. And you saved the world. You walked all over the world to save the doctors. So
told one story.
exactly.
Okay.
She was great.
Now, Myriam, are you going to say I
do love Martha. She is one of the, I think there's a lot of people that hate her. I don't know why they hate her. She is like such the sweetest. I can see why they would hate her because she's so smart and intelligent, and people are afraid of that.
Yeah.
I love because she challenged him. She
challenged him, and she was no nonsense. You know, kind of like Donna a little bit. Like, excuse me, no, you're not gonna treat me like crap.
I think a lot of people don't like it because she was in love with him, and they kind of painted her as like the lovesick puppy following him around.
She was the rebound.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Maybe people don't like that. I like it.
For me, Donna brought the humanity, the humor, the sharpness to the Doctor, and because she was like, no, I'm not, whatever. And
yeah, exactly. I'm not going to fall all over myself for you.
So, Myriam, did you say who is your favorite?
I do like Donna and Amy and Rose, but I would say that definitely Martha's my favorite.
Okay, Veronica.
So I could not stand Rose. Could not. She was so annoying.
Billy Piper. Wow.
She was annoying, and she treated her boyfriend like crap. So when Martha came along, I was like, ooh, someone who has a brain. This is amazing. So I loved Martha, still do. But then as I went through the series, I met Madame Vastra. And I love Madame Vastra.
She is amazing. She's
stunning.
Like just the way she's written and the way that she like is so she keeps the Doctor on his toes. She keeps everyone on their toes. Like she just approaches things. I want to approach things the way that she does. I really do. She's just an amazing character.
Well, I'm curious. You didn't like Billy Piper's character. Did you like her mom? I really liked her mom.
That whole family. I was just like, end this now, please.
Okay, River, how about you?
Oh, goodness. Well, I love Sarah Jane. I mean, young Sarah Jane. There was that whole arc, and I think it ends with Journey's End that goes through Torchwood, and it goes through the Sarah Jane adventures, and there's hints all the way through. So you want to talk about the long game. Russell was playing the long game there.
That's true.
Right.
Probably, I like the redheads. I think Donna and Amy are my favorites because both of them would whack him up beside the head. And I mean, Amy, goes and makes the queen abdicate so that the star whale won't be tortured. And he is ready to take her home when she says, why? Because, I've seen something that's the last of its kind before. And, and it touches him. And Donna has been that strong for the Doctor too. So, although I do have a soft spot for Captain Jack Harkness.
Hey. No, I was wondering. Nobody mentioned him. I was wondering if anyone was going to bring him up.
Yes, I mean, really, I
think he's
was very interested in the show when John Barrowman.
Great. Down girl.
He got his own show. He got his own Torchwood.
That's I don't think of him as a companion.
Yeah, I don't either. I think because he got his own show, I think that he's a companion.
It's like River doesn't really count to me as companion because it's like she's her own thing,
Like, same thing with Madame Vastra. Like I don't think of her as a companion really.
Yeah, because they're like their own. She's like, I'm too good for this. Like I'll help you out, but I'm not your companion.
Okay.
Really? Would you want to travel with your mother and father and husband?
Awkward. Just awkward.
Awkward. All the time awkward.
Very cool. Okay. So here's a question for you. We've been talking about Doctor Who. Obviously, people watching us hopefully have heard about Doctor Who. But for those who are curious and want to know, well, how would you describe, somebody who's never seen Doctor Who, what would you say, how would you describe it to somebody to get them to try an episode, especially Blink? What would you say? those people?
I would have to cater it to the person I'm talking to be
Right.
completely honest with you, because there's so much involved in the show that it has different appeal to different people. I mean, I'll just
For example,
so the first time I introduced my dad to the show was the episode where the 12th Doctor goes into the mind of a Dalek. And the reason why I chose that one, like I saw the episode live, and the moment the episode was over, I'm on the phone with my dad, who's a PhD, and I'm like, Dad, I know you've heard of this show because you've seen me cosplay it. I know you know nothing about it. You need to watch this episode because it's so telling about how we see ourselves, and it crosses the line between who is the real villain and who isn't. And as a PhD, I really think you'll enjoy it. Like, the writing is phenomenal. So that's what I said to my dad. To people who like crazy science fiction, I'm like, well, there's a madman in a flying phone book who goes a lot of places and you never know where he's going to end up. You just need to watch it.
okay.
And to other people who like Disney, I'm like, hey, there's a really awesome villain who looks like Mary Poppins, but it's the evil version of her.
Very good. Very good.
That's a good one.
Anyone else? Myriam?
I've recommended the show to different people, and like Veronica, I've, kind of tailored my recommendation based on the person. I recommended the show to a doctor who needed something to watch and had gone through all the other stuff and Netflix and what have you. And I said, watch Doctor Who. You like adventures, you like to know about history, that kind of thing. I'm like, but, watch this show because it has a great storyline about a crazy man in a phone box, and he's trying to fix humanity one story at a time. And she loved that.
Very good. Okay, Christina, anything?
Yeah, I mean, I usually try and get them to start with Blink, which is, I feel like, a good place to start because it's a standalone story. And I try and say it's like Twilight Zone light. Like, it's a little spooky, a little bit of adventure, a little bit of, I don't know. I mean, the people that I know now already love the show because so much of my friend group is like people I met through Doctor Who. So I don't really have to share. Like, I don't know. I wear Doctor Who clothes and I have Doctor Who stickers on my car, and I'm kind of a walking billboard for the show, but I don't know that I've convinced a lot of people, because the ones I've tried to like say, hey, if you like David Tennant, this is like prime time David Tennant. And they just didn't get into it. So I don't know. I'm not really, I don't know. I'm not good at convincing people, I guess.
River, what do you think?
Well, I have a friend that's a screenwriter, and he was complaining on Facebook that he couldn't find anything that would scare him anymore. The horror was horrible out there and nothing was any good. And so I sent him a message, said, come over to my house on Saturday. I want to show you an episode of Doctor Who. He sat down and I put on Blink, and he was jumping every 5 seconds going, oh my God, why don't they write like this? I said, because Stephen Moffat wrote this. Okay. He said, okay, I'm going back to watching Doctor Who again. Because he just kind of stalled out. And I said, you got to stay with it. Hidden gems.
Yes.
Just find stories.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also hook people in through Neil Gaiman, because didn't he write an episode or two?
He did.
Oh, yeah. He two, Nightmare in Silver and The Doctor's Wife.
Yes. So I if they like Neil Gaiman, then I'll throw those in. Like, there's these 2 episodes. You need to watch them.
The Doctor's Wife is the Doctor Who version of Baby.
Baby's so good. That's such a great episode.
It is. Okay. So I'm curious, if you could kind of maybe tell your stories or cross-tell. How did you all of you meet? Did you all meet at a convention or watching? What's that?
Gallifrey 1.
That's Gallifrey 1.
I met Christina and Veronica at Gallifrey 1. I met River at a happy hour Doctor Who pub meetup. And so that's how I know River.
And,
Okay,
and
and-
I've met everyone either through Gallifrey 1 or through the Doctor Who happy hour that they used to do at the Fox and Hounds, or the Brits in LA pub quiz that they do at the Cat and the Fiddle, or online. I've met people online.
Yeah. The Doctor
Actually,
Who
River,
groups.
I don't think we met at Gallifrey 1 my first year. I think we actually officially met at CondorCon.
Probably. Yeah. I don't know.
Actually-
They all just blend together. You know?
Yeah. Oh, River, I think I met you at like a library convention.
Yes, I met you
It was-
at the
Like in.
Media Commerce Library.
Yeah. And then we met
Yes,
again,
I had the white
obviously.
furry thing. And I have pictures. We have pictures. We know that happened.
We do. But then, then Gallifrey 1 all the time.
Now, just to throw it out there, for those of you who don't know, in Los Angeles, Southern California, there's the annual, well, when there was conventions due to the pandemic, there was a convention called Gallifrey 1. So anybody want to talk a little bit about that?
I miss it.
Yeah.
Take
me back.
North America's largest Doctor Who convention.
Okay.
It will be back in 2022.
Yes.
And with any luck, San Diego WhoCon, which is far from being the largest anything, it will be back in October of 2021.
It's a very intimate convention. I didn't even know that it was a thing. And then my friend who's really into Doctor Who, he's like, you got to come with me to this convention. And I said, okay. I went, I was into Doctor Who, but not the level of fandom that happens at Gallifrey 1. But what was interesting to me is that you actually can see everyone who's at the convention because it's so small.
Yeah.
The talent, you go into the restaurant at the hotel and the talent is sitting at the table next to you. You have drinks with Stephen Moffat at the bar.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he hangs out the whole
Yeah,
time, just like, hey, everybody, tell me how great I am.
He hung out at Sherlock Con too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, I went 2 years ago to Gallifrey 1. I was invited by River and the gang. And I loved it.
Problem.
Okay, let's throw out some of the guest stars that have been there.
John Barrowman,
Christopher Eccleston.
Prima Agajania. I can't say her last name, but
Martha
Martha
Mori.
Now you place the first Doctor.
Oh yeah.
Donna was there.
Yeah, Catherine Tate was there. John Barrowman was there.
Missy was there.
Michelle Gomez was there.
I want her back so badly.
We had the War Doctor too.
Yeah, John Hurt was there.
Yeah, John Hurt was there.
Late great John Hurt. Yep.
Yes.
Peter
Billy-
Davidson.
Billy Potts.
Yeah.
Has been there.
Yes.
Alex has never made it.
She almost.
Okay,
Almost.
because I met her on the lot anyway. But
But there's
Okay.
so many people that have made it.
yeah, just tons and tons of people. You know,
And also behind the
Sylvester
scenes,
McCoy.
Yeah.
Wait.
designers, makeup
John
art.
Davey.
Yeah,
One
John
of the-
Davies just hanging
John
around.
Davies.
You
Oh, yeah,
can go
John.
say hi to him.
Our buddy.
Our buddy.
the comic
John
book
Davey.
Our
artist.
buddy, the Cyberman and Heavenly Host and all sorts of things.
Wow, very cool. Okay, ladies, any final words you want to say to everyone watching? Leave them with a need, a desire to watch Doctor Who.
I grew up in fandoms. My parents were Trekkies. I got into Star Wars. There were stormtroopers at my wedding. I
great.
think everyone's gone through the Disney phase. I still love Disney, but when it comes to Doctor Who, the fans are just amazing. Like there is, I see far less drama with this fandom than other fandoms.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had a Star Trek wedding, by the way.
Nice.
I was there.
River, I was
Aw.
gonna say, River was there.
Oh,
I've got pictures of
Yeah,
River.
and it's the only time I saw the fandom get rabid was with the new Doctor and the writing. But even then, I have to say it was justifiable. But they weren't attacking each other.
Right.
They were saying what they didn't like about the show and the writing, and it was actually justifiable. They weren't necessarily nitpicking. It was like, I'm disappointed. I'm really hurt that the writer has let me down. Whereas in other fandoms, they attack each other. They nitpick. They just like,
They get
oh,
mean.
that lightsaber is not up to code. Like, it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Christina?
Yeah, no, I mean, just the fandom itself has been what's kept me going. I mean, the show's great, but I like a lot of shows. I like a lot of different things and fandoms, but I especially online, like a lot of the Doctor Who cosplayers, I'm friends with in real life now. So it's just been kind of amazing. And I'll keep going back to Gallifrey 1 even when I'm not watching the show, because I'm not watching the show right now. But I feel like I'd go back forever because of the people.
Myriam?
I was just gonna say it's like just a whole different universe. Like I've never been a fan of any show quite like this. Like I loved shows before, but it's passe, whatever. Like it's not been to this level where I've gone to conventions, and I want to keep going to conventions for Doctor Who because they're so fun and unlike anything, and it just it's just a different world, to put it simply.
Wow. River, what do you think? Anything you want to?
I think it is a different world. I think it's a very warm and generous fandom, and the only other fandom I've seen anywhere like it is the one for Supernatural and the people that work for Gish.
Yeah.
Because there is so much love out there, and a lot of them are Whovians.
Yeah.
There is
Hulak.
there's a little TARDIS library that they are trying to get from somewhere up in Idaho all the way down to Pueblo, Arizona. And they're doing it by having people drive it in loops. And so we're trying to get everybody that could possibly help get it there.
Nice.
Wow.
Very cool. Wow. Okay, ladies, this was an amazing experience for me. It's wonderful to talk about Doctor Who. You guys are so exciting and beautiful and funny, and I love the stories. I mean, when you can share things like this with people, it makes it that much more special, unique, and wonderful. I've got to give a lot of kudos to River, who's over there, because she's the one who coordinated this, helped me out with this. Thank you. Did I say thank you?
Thank
Thank
you for having us on. It's such
Yes.
a great pleasure
Absolutely.
to be here. You're a great host.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Listen, Christina, Myriam, Veronica, again, I can't thank you enough. How warm and friendly and fun. You kind of get worried sometimes when you get a group of people together if anyone's going to talk or what they're going to say. And you guys made my job easy. So thank you. But anyway, thank you guys for watching the show. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It's a little button somewhere around here, as well as click that little bell, and it'll let you know when I drop videos. It'll send you an email, and you can watch it at your convenience at any time. Besides the Geek Authority show, I have an Unboxing Geek Authority where I show you stuff for the first time. I open it up, you see it, I see it, we see it for the first time. I have Mysterious Chamber of Collectibles where I've been collecting for years, and you get to see what I actually have under my bed in my closet, as well as the Talk About show and a couple other things. So it's true. Check them out.
Bad, huh?
So everyone, thank you again. I appreciate it so much. How can we give a nice Doctor Who goodbye to everybody? What can we do? We just say,
Well,
oh, okay.
Yeah, River takes the cake on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, River has her signature.
Absolutely. Okay. Thanks for watching. Let's say bye, everybody. Bye.
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 Bye.